Well, welcome back for the first episode. I guess not welcome back. Welcome to the first live episode of the podcast. It's going to be an interesting one. Kind of hanging out by myself today. RJ couldn't make it, but we're going to be on week 9. We're going to start off with week 9. What a week. A&M goes to Florida. I mean, A&M goes to Florida. A&M goes to LSU. Completely just embarrasses them. Gets Brian Kelly fired, which we'll talk about later on in the show. Mizzou goes to Vandy. Vandy handles business, looks good. Bo Prabula gets hurt. Prayers out to him. Hope he gets better. Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Lane Kiffin, good win. Maybe get his pocket stuffed a little bit more with this LSU job and this Florida job now after a good win in Oklahoma. Good looks to him. Auburn versus Arkansas. This is one that caught me off guard. I really thought Taylor Green was going to do good things in this game and just ended up not going that way. Jackson Arnold gets benched. You have Ash Daniels. He comes in. It ends up cleaning it up for Auburn. Really, the story of the game was Auburn's defense and how well they performed. Hugh Freeze keeps his job for another week. And now if you're Auburn, you're in this situation of like, can you fire Hugh Freeze? Because there's so many good coaching jobs out there and only so many coaches to approach. Like you have LSU, Florida, Penn State, Virginia Tech's in there. There's several people that you can't or schools you have to compete with now if you're Auburn, if you really want to get rid of Hugh Freeze. And a lot of people, don't think that's the case, don't think they should do that. We'll say, Auburn versus Arkansas, kind of an interesting one. I ended up losing that one. For the record, on week 9, I go 4-2. RJ goes 3-3 in our preview. So a little bit more of an interesting one there. As far as week-wise, we usually don't do that good over here on the RD podcast. But as far as, Heisman rankings, Ty Simpson still remains at the top going into week 10, even after a kind of a lackluster performance against South Carolina. Marcel Reed, a guy who's been pretty consistent over the year, kind of making some waves into the Heisman talks as well. Going into week 10 here, you have the biggest headlines of Brian Kelly getting fired, offensive coordinator getting fired. A lot of things happening in LSU that may not be for the best. It's like you have, LSU just kind of in this complete rebuild situation where there's not so much of a guidance to where they're going to go. You have John Summerall, who is kind of an option for you. You have guys, out there in the coaching world like Lane Kiffin that you may can go at. People are saying go after Nick Saban, throw money at him. Everybody's saying that LSU is this top job when there's so many coaching jobs open out there right now. I actually have somebody I want to bring in today to talk about it. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and drag Will. This is one of my good friends here. See what he has to say about it. Will, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So we have, we have a couple coaching jobs, open right now. I got the picture of the best available coaching jobs up right now. Would you say LSU is at the top of the list? Andy Staples has it at the top of his list. Would you say this LSU job is at the top of your list? And if not, how come?
I would say that they're at the top. Honestly, you got the environment at LSU that makes it a big deal. Very tough place to play. Florida and Penn State are both tough. I'm not trying to put them down about it, but I feel like LSU, that they're known for being LSU, being a tough place, tough team. Coming off a 2019 Natty, I mean, they've fallen off a little bit, but they still get their recruits in every year. They still compete with the best of the best, but I do think LSU is the best, but I do think Penn State job is above Florida.
So you have what? LSU, give me a 1 through 4 right here, or 1 through 3.
I'll go LSU, Penn State, Florida. Honestly, Oklahoma State at 4.
Oklahoma State at 4 over Arkansas, you think?
Yes.
So why do you think you value the Penn State job over Florida? Is that because of the position that Florida is in currently, or maybe the strength of schedule that Penn State has to face throughout the year to get them to a better playoff run?
Yeah, I think it's the strength of schedule. You can bring in like a guy that's not going to be the best
Mm,
coaching hire that you could get, but he's still gonna get the job done. Like, he doesn't have to play, like, next year, the non-SEC schools compared to
mm.
Penn State, who might just have Ohio State. I haven't looked at their next year's schedule.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
we just do his job, win the games he's supposed to, fight, like, I mean
yeah. I mean, like James Franklin, whenever he was there, he won the games he needed to win. He couldn't win the big games, but it was still enough to get him in the playoffs last year. Like you look at last year, um, you have a what they lost to. I want to say it was Oregon last year, or it was either
No.
Oregon or Ohio State. Still make the playoffs, still make a good run. Um, And that's something you can do at Penn State when in regards to Florida, you're looking at a 2 or 3 year rebuild. Penn State overall has probably a better roster than what any of these other teams do. Hey, is my mic sounding all right to you, Chin, or what does it sound like to you?
It might
Is
have
it
a
cutting in
little
and out?
echo, but not a whole lot of an echo.
Because for some reason, I know I've been getting text messages saying that my mic was sounding weird. And I really have no idea why. It sounded good in the preview, so I have no idea why that would be the case. Maybe it fixed itself there. Um, but really and truly, let's see. We have Will in the chat. He says that Arkansas is a perfect spot for a coach who wants to build his legacy with young players. LSU is the best job open. Though I agree with the fact that Arkansas, you have a chance to be able to hire in a G5 coach or somebody that hasn't maybe proven themselves and be able to have the fact to be a statement coach. Um, but LSU, by far, in my opinion, is the best job open. You have one of the only Power Five schools in the country that has a state to themselves as far as recruiting wise. And LSU definitely does not lack, or Louisiana doesn't lack talent. And you're right next door to Texas. Good players in Mississippi, Alabama, Florida. You're not too far from as well. You've seen coaches like Coach O come in there and win national championships here recently. And this program has been good in the past. Like, you think about Brian Kelly, his tenure there. It's not like he was just completely terrible. His first year he won the SEC West. He had a Heisman Trophy winner. He put up a 9-3 season, a 10-2 season. So it's not like he's just been absolutely awful. Do you
Yeah.
think LSU made the right idea or the right decision firing and getting rid of him?
Honestly, probably not. I know you expect your coach to come out there and compete every week, and the goal is to win the national championship. And with the
Mhm.
12 team, it gives you a better opportunity to present yourself in there. But LSU last year did not get the breaks that they needed.
Yeah.
They just played really good teams, wrong time. I mean, you have bad years, but how many years has he been there? 4 or 5?
This would be his third. I want to say his third year this year, 2025.
Yeah, they might have been too quick to fire him, in my opinion. Like, yeah, you give a guy 3 years to do
Mhm.
something. He doesn't have a good year this year so far. I don't
And
know.
you,
It
yeah,
might
and
have
you
been
just
a
canning.
quick fire.
And you would think like stuff would be going on in the inside of the program, but a lot
Yeah.
of LSU insiders are saying that Brian Kelly is actually liked inside the program. But then you're seeing ex players, players that are in the NFL now that are going back and almost celebrating the fact that he's gone. Like, oh, this is what you get for what you did to me.
Like Malik
That's fine.
Neighbors today
Yeah,
posting kick rocks on his Instagram story.
exactly. It's and things like that have kind of pointed to the direction of like, oh man, is this something that was long needed? Like, had the players known about this, and have we not known about it? I got pulled up on the screen right here, just like an LSU hot board of what Pete Nakos he thinks is on the list for a hire. Um, of course, first is the Lane Kiffin. Jimmy Sexton is licking his chops, if you want to say that, at the fact you can get a lot of money out of Florida and LSU right now with Lane Kiffin because he's in the most hireable position. I feel like. Do you think Lane Kiffin is even on the board for these two teams? Do you think he's even weighing the option of leaving Ole Miss?
I I
And
want
do
to
you,
say he's not weighing his options,
mm,
but yet again, if that money talks, it talks. But I mean, he rebuilt Ole Miss to a pretty good team.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing good right now. They just coming off the win in Oklahoma. I don't
Uh,
I don't see Lane leaving Ole Miss.
yeah, if Lane left Ole Miss, I think he's going to LSU maybe over Florida. I think you have a little bit better of a roster spot there.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say Marcus Freeman, like right here, Pete Nakos has Marcus Freeman as his second choice to leave Notre Dame or to leave Notre Dame, come to LSU.
Yeah.
Is he a good hire to you, or do you think maybe he's a little overrated because he is at Notre Dame and maybe plays a little bit of lesser competition, even though they've played several top-ranked opponents this year? Do you think that he's a good hire for LSU if they were able to get him?
Um, honestly, yeah. Marcus Freeman, he's a good coach. Made the national championship last year. They still have a good team this year. Just caught a couple bad breaks with A&M and I forgot who else they played.
What Miami?
Miami.
So,
Yeah, I
and,
mean, first game of the year, and then you get the last second touchdown at the end of the game. I
mhm,
mean, I think Marcus Freeman would be a good hire
yeah.
for LSU or Florida or even Penn State at that. He'd be
Mhm.
a good hire.
I think, on this list, I think two of the guys that I really like, of course, Clark Lee's doing great things at Vandy, but I think he's happy where he's at. And maybe, I don't know if LSU would go after him over somebody like Brent Key. I think Brent Key's a great hire. I think he's
Frank Key would be a great
got a
hire.
ton of potential. You see what he's doing at Georgia Tech. Obviously, they play a little bit lesser competition, but they took Georgia down to the wire last year, right? I know it's a rivalry game, but I think Brent Key establishes a good, strong program when he is there. Um, and I
I
think he'll
also
continue to
think
do great things.
the Georgia Tech game this year will be a lot more interesting than it was last year.
Hmm. One of the interesting things about that is the fact that Georgia Tech decided to play at in Atlanta instead of playing at or not at their home stadium, but at the Superdome or the Mercedes Benz, whatever it's called now. I can't exactly remember, but they decided to play it there for more money. I forgot the number that they were given to do that, but I thought that was pretty interesting in the fact that they were able to switch that and not have home field advantage, if you want to say that. Um, what do you think about maybe like somebody like Drinkwitz leaving Missouri and coming to LSU? Do you think Drink leaves Missouri to come to LSU?
Um, that's a real tough one.
Mhm.
Drink is doing a really good job with Missouri. You go down to the wire with Vandy. You lose your starting quarterback, and you still compete with them. You come up a
Yeah.
yard short at the end of the game. I don't personally see him leaving, say this year, just because of everything that they still have and what they could still have in the future.
Mhm.
Mm,
I I
that,
think
that's a tough
Drink's
one.
putting together a lot. A lot of people say he may go to Florida as well. I want to go ahead and point this out. What RJ said in the chat here: Lane Kiffin has no dynasty at Ole Miss. Yeah, he wins, but he will never win a national championship and will be first round exits if they make playoffs because it's Ole Miss. Um, what do you have to say to that, Will?
Granted, no, he doesn't have a dynasty. He's finally starting to piece everything together. Finally,
Hmm.
after a couple years, I think it just took a lot more time at Ole Miss than probably it would if you start fresh at LSU.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're surrounded Alabama, Auburn, Mississippi State, LSU's right there, Tennessee. I think he was in a weird spot whenever he first got there.
Hmm.
I mean, he's still kind of in a weird spot, but not as much as he was. And I think he focuses too much on the portal rather
Hmm.
than he should on high school recruits.
Yeah. I, that's kind of been his thing the past couple of years. Ever since NIL came out, they've kind of gone after these guys in the portal to make differences. And he kind of lucked up on Chambliss this year.
Yeah.
Um,
Chambliss
yeah,
is a really good quarterback.
yeah, he's been playing really well. And you lost, you lose Austin Simmons right there at the start of the year. he wasn't really performing how you expected him to, but you lose him nonetheless. Trinidad comes in, and or Winadad is what Pat McAfee calls him, pretty funny. But he comes in, he starts playing ball, and you're at the point of like, okay, my starting quarterback's coming back. Do I start playing him, the kid that's been sitting in the program, or do I start this transfer quarterback from Ferris State who's been playing well? And there's really no reason to bench him right now. And I think Lane Kiffin's made the correct call because obviously Winadad is making a lot of plays to be able to win games. He came up short against Georgia, but not for the lack of trying. We'll kind of move past the coaching talk. We got the AP Top 25 here, and the top 6 teams, remained unchanged. You had the same Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Bama, Georgia, Oregon. But Ole Miss rises one spot after the win over Oklahoma. Vanderbilt, man, Vanderbilt. They look good, do they not? I mean, how would you say they rank against these opponents right here in the top 25 and the top 10? Do you think they could compete with an Ole Miss team right now if they ended up playing each other in a neutral field?
Yeah, I think Vandy could compete with the best of them. Now, they might be outmatched on paper because who Ohio State has or who A&M has, stuff like that. But I think Vandy, they're going to fight no matter what game they're in. We saw it firsthand at Alabama. They had just a couple turnovers not go their way, and it's just not – I mean, their only loss is that one game at Bama.
Yeah.
But I think they could compete with teams that not a lot of people expect.
Yeah, they're pretty physical. And you look back at the Alabama game, for instance, you're 2 red zone turnovers away from being in the game to the final,
Yeah.
really and truly being able to win the game, being able to be right there to win the game. So, and obviously that's not taking anything away from Bama. I got this A on my shirt for a reason. I think they're a great team. I think they do what they need to do. I think, like, even against Tennessee, like, that game was a lot closer than what the final score said. I
What the
think
score
Alabama's
was,
found a way
yeah.
to win games. And same thing with South Carolina. But, Vanderbilt, Clark Lee, what he's done there is so impressive. And looking ahead to next year, obviously, you don't want to jump too far. But I'm curious to see, like, RJ in the comments. He's commenting. RJ, do you think this Vanderbilt team has the ability to make a deep run in the playoffs if they match up with somebody like A&M or Ohio State in the first round? Do you think they'll be able to beat some of those better teams that they may end up seeing, or Indiana for that case? But I thought this was really
I
interesting.
did see something on Twitter that
Mm.
said, "We're in the days where Vandy is having a 5-star quarterback visit a game."
Yeah, I know. It's a 5-star quarterback that's committed to Georgia at that, right? What was it, Jared
I
Curtis? He's
I
there.
think it was Texas he's committed to.
What's
I might be wrong, but I think
oh,
it was Texas. No,
hmm.
no, it was Georgia. It
It
was
was
Georgia.
Georgia?
Yeah.
I want to say that obviously a couple more upward movements. Like Texas Tech climbs into the rankings at number 13. Louisville bumps up 3 spots. Then Cincinnati, Michigan 4 spots in 21. Couple
I
new
would like to
entries.
say something
Yeah.
about the Texas Tech squad.
Mm.
Their only loss comes whenever they had their backup quarterback playing.
Yeah.
Like, that's still a really good and dangerous team in Texas Tech. The thing that kinda shocked me whenever I saw it was the 2 10s with Miami and BYU.
Yeah.
Are they saying BYU's that good, or they
You know,
just can't put 1 at 11?
I don't know. BYU is an interesting team. I don't know if that's a graphic mess up, right? I got this from On 3, so blame On 3. If
No,
anything, right?
that's right. I saw it on ESPN.
Is it on ESPN like that?
Yes.
See, that's interesting. I don't know. Miami, you go back and you look before Carson Beck throws 4 picks. Miami looked like the most rounded team in college football just a couple weeks back, and now they're at the number 10 spot, tied with BYU, right? This Notre Dame team, they start off 0-2, and people are saying, "Oh, well, they shouldn't be in they shouldn't be in the playoffs or the rankings at all. They should be out of the top 25." Well, here they are sitting at number 12 going into week 10. Really
And
interesting, to
both
say the
teams
least.
they lost to are 10-3.
Mm.
So, I mean, I get the committee for putting them up there.
Yeah.
They don't lose by that much in either game.
Mhm.
I think I think Notre Dame could be a good football team. I mean, you still got Jeremiah Love back there, arguably one of the best running backs in the country. And then you go freshman quarterback. He's been doing his thing. Like he doesn't look like a freshman out there at all. And
Yeah.
then which one was it? I
You know,
lost my
RJ just said, I believe Iowa or Washington should be in the top 25 instead of USC that had a bye week, and Iowa and Washington dominated the last week. Um, I mean, that's really not a bad take. I really don't necessarily disagree with that. He also said the fact of Vanderbilt being able to play against the top four teams in the country. Obviously, they've already played Bama, but top three necessarily not Texas A&M or Ohio State. They'll compete most of the game, but death will stand out in those games. And I have to agree with that. I think you saw that in the Alabama game as well. I think you
Yeah,
saw
because I mean,
Vanderbilt's
you
defense
switch
get worn
in
out.
people in and out the whole game on Bama's
Mhm.
defense. You're basically keeping everybody fresh.
Yeah,
But Vandy just has those couple people that are sneaky good.
hmm
And when they go out, it's kind of like, well, what do we have? Like, I'm not
yeah,
trying to say Vandy's whole roster isn't good. They're D1. I'm not.
yeah.
So, I mean, they can compete, but I think the depth is what would really kill them in the Ohio State and Texas A&M game, or probably anybody above them. I'm gonna
Yeah.
throw out Georgia Tech on that one because I haven't really watched them. But other than
Ole
that,
Miss, Oregon, Georgia, I think you could see that definitely. And
yeah,
RJ says it was also at Bryant Denny, but you saw the rushing attack get better as the game went on, and I think that comes from a depth perception, not a crowd noise factor. So I think that that's more of a depth issue for Vandy in that regard. Um, Will, I wanted to talk about these Week 10 matchups, and we'll wrap it up real quick. You got Oklahoma and Tennessee, Aguilar versus Mateer. Mateer kind of coming off two really mediocre. I mean, one bad game against Texas, but a really mediocre game this last Saturday against Ole Miss. Who do you have in that game? What are you thinking?
I'm gonna go with Tennessee this year. I think Tennessee's the more
Mhm.
complete, like looking the more complete team than Oklahoma right now.
Mhm.
I think Oklahoma's defense is still really solid, but I think if John Mateer could fix his mistakes he's been doing, I think Oklahoma could compete and make it a lot closer of a game. But I think Tennessee pulls it out.
Yeah. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I think that you have Oklahoma. It really comes down to the fact is Mateer going to be 100% or is he going to start playing like he was at the beginning of the season? Because as of right now, we haven't seen that. And don't get me wrong, this Oklahoma offense or defense is really good, but Aguilar is one of the best passers or the best passer in the SEC, and really is getting. If they don't have these two really close. Bama game was a little bit further stretched than what it really was, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of pivotal plays in that game that could have thrown this game around, but I think, the loss to Georgia at home, that one hurt, but Aguilar is a great quarterback, and I think that they will be able to play against this Oklahoma offense kind of like they need to. RJ came in the chat and said this, can you say Texas A&M is the most dominant team in the country? We'll jump back over to the AP poll graphic real quick just so I can show this. Um, would I say they're the most dominant team in the country right now? Uh, Probably so, just because of the fact that they're undefeated and they have good wins, unlike Ohio State, because what do you say is Ohio State's great win at the moment? Because Texas is probably going to be unranked by the time the season's over with. Um, and so I don't really see a really huge dominant, like consistently dominant week on week. I think A&M just because of the fact that they're undefeated. Indiana is also in that conversation. Bama's in that conversation. If you don't lose to Florida State, I would say Bama is probably the most dominant team if they did not lose to Florida State. But overall, I think the rankings are right where they need to be as far as Ohio State. They've done nothing to lose the number one spot. There's no reason in moving them. Their defense looks like the best in the country. We'll see as they continue to play competition throughout the year. But A&M all around. Marcel Reed, man. What do you have to say about Marcel Reed and how he's been playing recently?
He's playing probably out of his mind, if you could say that.
Yeah. The kid's
Um,
just a good leader in general
he,
too. Like he's
he's
just fun to watch.
good leader. He can get out of the pocket quick. He showed off his legs against LSU, which
Mhm.
LSU isn't known for stopping and run here in the big games, but he still looked to show it. He could throw it with the best of them.
Yeah. He came out in that press conference the other day and he was like, "Oh, I'm sure y'all have heard what I've been saying, or what people have been saying. I'm not a thrower of the football." But the kid comes out, he does what he did to LSU, right? The only problem with Marcel Reed is he's turned the ball over, a couple times this year that there was like forcing the football necessarily. Like there's no point in throwing the ball. He kind of just forced it, and that's the signs of a young quarterback, right? He's only a sophomore. He has played a year. Don't get me wrong, but he's going to progress and he's going to get better. This A&M team is scary because you have veterans all around him. Um, and we have we have Will Buffet that came in the chat and said, "How do you feel about Oregon?" Right? Oregon's kind of an interesting spot because they play Iowa, Minnesota, USC, and Washington to close out the year. I think Washington's a pretty good football team. I think Iowa is kind of a weird team. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
they can be awful, but their defense just does something to people. I mean, it just completely destroyed. Like I would never bet an over on points whenever I'm watching an Iowa game because it's just so scary. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
I
I
mean,
don't know what they
I
do to
agree
them.
with you.
It's kind of like going and playing in Jordan Hare. Like Alabama's 12 or 11 and 0, 10 and 0, whatever, going into Jordan Hare and Auburn's 0 and 10. I'm scared for my life.
I'm not
Um,
placing a single bet on that game.
exactly. I mean, I think that Oregon is a good football team, and Dan Lanning, any team that Dan Lanning coaches is going to be good more than likely. I think that they have a lot of potential. I think Dante Moore needs to clean up his, or let me rephrase this. I think Dante Moore in big games, because like you go back to Indiana, I don't think he finished the game strong like he really needed to be able to get that win. And you
Yeah.
had him in Eugene. That was the time to do it.
Hey,
I think that's
was
why you've
it
seen Oregon's fall off.
did Dante Moore get hurt Saturday?
I don't know. I actually have not heard that.
Because I'm
Uh,
looking at the Wisconsin-Oregon game, 21-7 Oregon. He he was 9 of 15 for 86 yards.
yeah. So it says I'm looking at it now. It says that his nose was
Oh,
dinged
yeah, his
up.
nose got broke.
Got a bloody nose, broke nose. Um, Another thing that Will came in the chat and said is Marcel Reed playing Heisman ball. I think Marcel Reed's playing Heisman ball. I just think there's guys in front of him that may be playing a little
Better.
bit better. Yeah,
Yeah.
like Mendoza. How do you take Mendoza out of the Heisman talk? Ty Simpson, he's been playing a heck of a game. South Carolina, he had kind of a rough one. You can say FSU, but he did nothing to lose that Florida State. That was his first start to it
I
on the
mean,
road.
Florida
Um,
State was really just effort
yeah,
that we were
it,
missing all around.
it was just a complete weird game overall. And then also Julian saying he hasn't done anything
Yeah,
to kind of
Julian
disturb his
Sains
name.
playing pretty good.
And I think you look at the interception stat. I think that's what really hurts Marcel Reed. Do I think he's playing Heisman ball? Yes. To be in the top 4, top 5? Yes. But to win it right now? No. But that could change over the next couple of weeks. And I mean, pretty easily the way he's playing. Um, we'll go back because we kind of jumped off of where we were and came back to some good talking points, which I like, right? No doubt. But Penn State,
Yeah,
Ohio State. This was supposed to be a marquee match. I mean, just a huge matchup in this week. But now James Franklin's gone. Drew Aller's hurt. Penn State still got a good roster, but not what they once were, or what you thought they were going to be. Do you think that? I love that comment. That's beautiful right there. I'm gonna pop that up on the screen just to let it sit there. That's a beautiful comment.
hey,
That's great ball knowledge.
you're still sitting on the AP poll.
It
And
should be the Week 10
yeah,
matchup now.
it just updated. Um, it's at Ohio State.
Yes, I want to say it is.
I don't know. Penn State's just kind of in a weird spot. 22-21 game with Iowa. Iowa's
Mm.
got a good defense. I can't. Did they win that game? I think they
Um,
lost.
no, they did not. They lost.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of just see Ohio State handling business like
Mhm.
every other Saturday so far.
I think Ohio State. is not going to have too many road bumps. I agree. Tennessee by 50. I agree with that. And I think RJ says, I feel like last week versus South Carolina hurt Ty Simpson's Heisman odds right now, so I feel like Mendoza is leading it, and I agree with that. I think Mendoza is in a good spot. I think Ty Simpson's going to have another one of those Heisman moments, and LSU's kind of falling apart. That's Alabama's next game on the schedule, but after that, you got Oklahoma. So there's definitely a lot of space. I don't think there's much of a gap between the two, but I
Yeah,
think Mendoza
I
has
think
not
it's
done
still
anything
neck
to
and
affect
neck
it.
like it was
Yeah,
before the South Carolina game.
no doubt. Um, and then we'll see Vandy and Texas. I think this game
Mm,
right here puts Texas out of the playoff or out of the top 25 rankings. That's what I was referring to earlier with Ohio State. What's their actual win? That is a good
yeah,
proven win. I think Vandy's going to win this game. I'm not going to give any score prediction because I still have to shoot that YouTube video towards the end of the week. Catch us on the YouTube channel.
quick
But
shout out.
is my mic still bad?
No, you're
It's
good.
not okay. I think I got it fixed. Start of the live, it was bad. I got text messages saying I'm going back and forth, but just want to make sure it's still good. Because I want it to be good whenever I say this. Vanderbilt is going to beat Texas. Vanderbilt is going to knock Texas out of the top 25. Point blank period. I think Clark Lee is going to get it done this time. I think they almost had it done last year. And this year, I think it's time. This is Vanderbilt's year to kind of shock the world. I don't know about next year with Diego Pavia going, but I think this year they can do it. What are you thinking, Will?
I agree. I think Texas, they're just in a weird spot. They had a 17-point comeback victory against Mississippi State.
Mm.
Um, I think Vandy looks way too good right now to be saying Texas is gonna win this game.
Yeah.
If we're talking 7 o'clock, 6:30 at Texas, might be talking a little bit different, but it's at 11. I'm gonna roll with the Commodores.
Another big news headline for this game is Arch Manning's injury that he suffered in the first OT. I
Oh,
think,
I didn't even
yeah,
know that.
he first OT, Arch Manning goes down with a concussion, or goes down for concussion protocol. Sark has not come out and said that Arch is playing or not playing this week, but he did say that he did not practice today. So that's going to be an interesting story going into this one. That's why I'm kind of heavy on Texas as well. Who knows? The backup Troy quarterback may do what he needs to do to be able to win football games, but I'm not putting my money on it.
Yeah.
I got Vanderbilt. Indiana, I think we can skip over this one. I think Indiana handles business. Georgia, Billy Napier's gone. I think they handle business. Texas Tech and Kansas State. Kansas State, man. Avery Johnson's parents fight, or dad fighting, and brother fighting at the beginning of the year. That one kind of put a sour taste in my mouth. Felt like Kansas State kind of fell apart over in Dublin when Iowa State beat them. Texas Tech wins that game. USC, Nebraska. You got Patrick Mahomes Jr. and Lincoln Riley. Who do you have in that game?
Oh, I think Nebraska gives them fits like they did Michigan in the first half.
Mm,
Because Nebraska is still a good team. They got their quarterback back again.
yeah.
But USC, they're a good ball team. They've had some losses,
Yeah.
but I still think they're a good team, and it might get a little iffy out there.
May get a little sketchy this weekend. I think, you have Nebraska playing USC at home. I think that's a big advantage for Nebraska there. So that could be interesting. What you thinking, USC or Nebraska?
I'd probably go USC.
Respectable pick. Georgia Tech and North Carolina, NC State. Sorry, North Carolina State. And then I hope that Brent Key's ball club can get it done this game because I would really like to see them undefeated when they go and play Georgia, or when they play Georgia and Atlanta. I think that would be a really fun game to watch. You had 8 overtimes last year, so I think it would be a really fun watch. Cincinnati and Utah. I want to say, is College Game Day going, or who's going to this game? Um,
I'm not real sure. I think game day is going to be at Oklahoma, Tennessee.
that's what I was thinking too. But for some reason, no, it's going to be at the Utah versus Cincinnati game this week. So that's interesting. I
You gotta
I
wait
have
for
really
the game to be at 9:15 at night.
yeah. Man, that's gonna be an interesting one. I really don't know who wins that game between Cincinnati and Utah. I like Utah because I like Dampier, but um, that's going to be one that really going to have to look into as we get closer. Maybe as we're doing score predictions towards the end of the week. Um, Now, I want you to answer this question, Will. Do you all think Auburn would have still won that Arkansas game if they never benched Jackson Arnold?
I mean, I'd probably say yes. The defense for Auburn played really good in that
Mhm.
second half. You get the pick six right there to help you out. But I just that's a tough one. The
Yeah.
backup came in, did his thing, moved the ball good. I don't know.
I think Ash Daniels came in and did exactly what you expected Jackson Arnold to do, was just enough. Just
Yeah.
enough. Because this Auburn defense is going to make things happen. They're going to make you know, teams go away from what they want to do. DJ Durkin's one of the best defensive coordinators in college football, and that's what it comes down to. I think the change at quarterback was necessary. I think Arnold has not been playing what he is expected of, what Auburn thought they were getting. So Ashton Daniels, I think, came in and did just the right amount um, of things, just the right amount of task he was able to complete to be able to move the ball, to be able to score the ball, and Auburn's defense covered up the rest. Um, I wanted to go ahead and pop this one here. Auburn needs a game manager until we can develop Deuce. I think the kind of like what I'm saying with the fact of Ashton Daniels coming in. I think he managed the game and was able to keep Auburn on the field just long enough for Auburn's defense to get a breather so they could come out and make plays. Also, he was able to move the ball down the field when needed. So I think that's something that Jackson Arnold was not doing. Um, I think Jackson Arnold looked off a lot of his throws because he wasn't confident. I think Jackson Arnold isn't an extreme problem um, in that he could potentially be a good quarterback in the future. But as of right now, man, his confidence is just down. I think you have a team like Auburn that's in such a bad spot. You kind of need that change just to kind of get a shot of adrenaline and get back rolling. Um, so I'm guessing, do you think Ashton Daniels should start this next game, Will?
Um, I'd say yes. I just I'd want to see something different. He 6 for 8, 77 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think Hugh Freeze should let him play at
Yeah.
least half the game just to see if it's not just, one game, whatever. Which
And
never
what
mind, he played the second half. I think he should start, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a way you could put Arnold back in, especially after you win that game. I think Auburn, they got Kentucky this weekend. Gonna be a pretty decent gonna be a pretty decent game. I think Kentucky played a okay first half against Tennessee the other day, and then just kind of let the game get away from them. You got Kendrick Law over there, a Bama transfer, who had a pretty good game against Tennessee the other night. Um, we'll talk about Auburn, Vanderbilt too. Just looking ahead at Auburn's schedule, you got Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Alabama. You got Mercer in there. A little bit of trap game action for Auburn, if you want to say that.
I,
But
I want to circle back to the Auburn Arkansas game.
mhm,
Jeremiah Cobb, 28 carries for 153.
yeah, where's that
That
been at?
helped out a lot.
Yeah, like my co-host from time to time, Mr. RJ Coker says, "Why are we not running the damn ball, Freeze? Why are we not having 50 rushing attempts?" He's pretty adamant about the fact that he thinks Auburn should run the football, especially with Jackson Arnold back there at quarterback, and it seemed to work out for. Now it was rainy in Arkansas. Taylor Green dang sure didn't help the Razorbacks win that one. Um, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and address this because we haven't talked about this, I don't think, yet on the podcast. Last week, I claimed the fact that Taylor Green was the top four quarterback in the SEC. Well, he must have heard me and didn't like what I was saying, right? Because he dang sure just threw my take down in the trash. And, you win some, you lose some. I wanted to address that one because I was wrong on that one. And he made that very clear to me. DJ Durkin said, "Hey, Dalton, I watched the podcast. I didn't take it lightly, and I'm gonna show you why I didn't take it lightly." And Taylor Green said, "I'm gonna help you." You know what I'm saying? So, rough day for me watching that happen. Group chat told me. I'm sitting here just thinking, like, man, it couldn't get much worse for me in the Arkansas Razorbacks right now, because that's when Alabama was starting off pretty rough too. So I was having kind of a rough day, no doubt. Eventually closed that one out. But week 10, kind of a mediocre slate whenever we've been blessed with such good slates the past couple of weeks of games, just really, really good football games back to back to back weeks. This week, Tennessee, Oklahoma, it's likely going to be cinema, no doubt. Vanderbilt versus Texas is going to be a great game. Just this week, if you show me this week preseason, right, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is
Yeah.
a slugfest. But now you come to the current moment, and just the things that have happened in college football have made this week a little bit less than what it could have been. RJ said didn't get oh my goodness, didn't get sacked either. Talking about Ashton Daniels. I think Jackson Arnold was kind of running himself into, I mean, obviously Auburn's offensive line has not been great by any means. Don't get it twisted, but I think Ashton Daniels did a good job of getting the ball out on time, and that's something that Arnold was not doing, and that's the reason for not getting sacked. Also, I think the play calling was a little bit better as well when Daniels was in there. I don't know if that's a confidence thing or what, but Auburn looking to continue to improve as a team. What you thought was going to be a potential, high up SEC team at the beginning of the season, not having the year that they wanted. What are you thinking is the steps for Bama, Jim? We'll close the show out on this. What are you thinking the steps for Bama this bye week, going to the LSU game next week with Brian Kelly being fired and Sloan being fired as the offensive coordinator? Do you think this is a trap game for Bama? Do you think there's any way that LSU comes into Bryant-Denny and wins, or do you think it's just going to be an absolute killer?
I'll put it in two separate equations here. Alabama takes a bye week lightly. They rest everybody, whatever. They're not taking LSU like they should. Like they're an SEC team, clearly. So if they take LSU lightly, LSU will probably come into Tuscaloosa. I'm not going to say they're going to win.
Yeah.
They're going to give us a South Carolina feeling. But now if DeBoer gets on them, like we're playing a top 10, top 25 team, and is like, hey, we're still SEC. They still got their talent there. I haven't seen of anybody saying, oh, well, I'm going to transfer, I'm going to sit out, everything like that. So, I mean, their team is still there.
Yeah.
Like LSU is still a good team, regardless of who's coaching them. And then you go to the fact, is the offense going to be the same?
Yeah. I feel like Kelly was kind of checked out prior to this week anyways. I felt like you started seeing signs of that. I think Nussmeier was starting to kind of feel the pressure of – he almost looks hurt. He came back this year to be their national championship year, and they dropped 2 games, now a third. A lot of rough times over there in Baton Rouge. Hopefully they get it turned around, because LSU being good is good for football, right? And obviously I don't want to be good enough to beat Bama on a year-end basis, but I do want to be good because it is good for football in general. So do you on a real note, you see what RJ had to say on a real note, let's hope Bama doesn't get favored by 2 or more possessions. What do you think about that, Jim?
I hope they put it like 6.5.
Yeah, just make it a 3-point game, please. If you can hear me, Vegas, please do not make us a favorite in this game. Seems like we want to throw football games as 2 possession favorites. But Alabama, a lot of big games upcoming. LSU looked like it was going to be the game of the year preseason. Corso has them Corso has LSU as his national championship favorite, and they don't pan out the way he thought. A lot of people had them going deep into the playoffs with the transfers and et cetera that they got, and Nussmeier coming back. Everything's kind of fell apart on them, but we'll continue to see how it goes throughout the rest of the year with Mateer and Oklahoma. It's still on the schedule. And then you also got to go to Jordan-Hare at the end of the year. What do you think about that game, Will? How are you feeling about that? We're just looking ahead. Obviously, we're just talking. Yeah. We're just having a conversation. What are you thinking looking ahead to that?
I'm going to stick with what Nick Saban said. That place is haunted.
No doubt.
Because, I mean, it don't matter what type of season Auburn has. If we're playing at Auburn, it's going to be a close game.
Yeah. No doubt about it. A lot of things have happened in that stadium. A lot of crazy things, a lot of great things. A lot of, you look at this picture back behind me, you know what I'm saying?
Oh
That's a
yeah.
great thing that happened in Jordan Hare. That's a beautiful thing that happened in Jordan Hare. I hope RJ can see that. I wish I could zoom in on that. RJ, I want to get you a better look at that real quick. Um, just want to let you see that up there. But RJ, if you're still in the chat, I want to know your score prediction for the Auburn Alabama matchup in Jordan Hare. But obviously that game has a ton of effect on. He said push up. That game has a ton of effect on Alabama's season at the end. As far as SEC championship wise and everything like that. And a lot of
Yeah,
people think that Bama will be seeing A&M in the SEC championship, which would be a huge game and a great game to
that
watch.
would be a massive game.
Mm,
Because I mean, if Alabama wins out, they make it. A&M wins out, they make it. They're both coming in
mm.
5 wins in a row. I think that'll be probably one of the best games of the year. I'm not going to say playoffs. I'm saying from the championship week to week 1, it's going to
Mhm.
be one of the best games of the year. And then I want to circle back to the LSU preseason.
Yeah.
I watched week 1, LSU Clemson. After I
Mhm.
get home from watching Alabama lose, I don't want to talk about that one.
Yeah.
Um, but I was like, both of these teams could be top 5 the way that they're playing right now. And
Mhm.
now we're in almost November, and neither team is ranked.
Yeah.
And LSU fires Kelly. I don't think they're gonna fire Dabo. I mean, he's still a great coach. Just one bad year.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
think
going from then to now, you couldn't have told me that both teams would be unranked and in the position that they're in.
Mhm. Isn't it crazy how college football works? How you have this opinion at the start of the year that I feel like every fan base thinks that their team's the best team in the country. And then as the season goes on, you have teams that you didn't think were going to be good, be great. And you had teams that you thought were going to be, amazing, had their coaches get fired by week 8. You know, a lot of people were high on Florida this year, and look at what happened with them. This is Will Bethay comes in the chat, or Will comes in the chat and says A&M was the most complete team in the nation. Auburn had the best chance of beating them in the early season. I don't completely disagree with that. I'd be interested in seeing how Alabama and A&M match up in the SEC championship if they do make it that far. Obviously, I don't want to jinx Bama, don't want to jinx A&M. That could be a great game, but I would like to see Marcel Reed against Bama's defense and what he does, and I'd like to see how Kane Womack defends him and how he defends Mario Craver, and Concepcion outside. I think they're two of the best receivers in college football. Nonetheless, I think they're a really underrated wide receiver room to start the season off. Um, so I think that could potentially be one of the best games of the year right there that you see in the SEC championship. What do you think, Will?
I agree. We've had trouble in the past with running quarterbacks.
Mm,
We've played good defense the past 4 weeks. We've played really good defense, and I'm
mm,
gonna give credit to Kane when he needed it. We've played good. Our defense kept us in the South Carolina game when offense couldn't do nothing.
mm.
They kept us in the Tennessee game. They get the pick six right before half. I would like to see that game.
Yeah.
Just to, just the matter of fact, you got A&M. Everybody's saying best team in the country. I would love to see that game,
Yeah.
but I think Alabama could give them more troubles than they think.
No doubt. I think this Cam Womack defense is getting better. I think there is things that they're still lacking, right? Nonetheless, but like you talk about the South Carolina game, and you're like, oh well, they didn't look good in that game. Well, Alabama's offense could not move the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, they really couldn't. You think if
Well, I
Alabama
mean,
doesn't have the pick six right at the start of the game, we probably lose that game.
yeah. I mean, you look early in the game when offense couldn't get a first down, 3 and out. Our defense comes right back out there, gets the
Mm,
pick six, and then they go right back onto the field.
yeah.
I feel like if our offense could have started off like we're used to seeing the past weeks, I think our defense does a lot better because they're not out there getting put in positions they don't need to be in, playing too much, getting tired too much. I just feel like the offense needed to kick into gear, and when they did, it was fourth quarter.
Yeah.
It was a good time to kick in, but I'm saying they needed to kick in a little early to give that defense a little break instead of going
Well,
5 minutes on the field, 2 minutes off, and then repeat.
let's look at the start of the game, right? You have first drive of the game, 15 plays for South Carolina, 7:28 off the clock. Bama gets the ball, 3 and out, 5 yards of the game, 2 minutes off the clock. Enters pick six, then 3 and out for South Carolina, 3 and out for Bama, 6 plays for South Carolina, then they miss that field goal. 6 plays for Bama, then they fumble it. Then not Arkansas. South Carolina tallies up another 14-play drive. And then you say Bama goes on a non-play touchdown drive, and then Arkansas or South Carolina another 3 and out. I think you had a lot of time of possession. Like, this is the first, really and truly one of the first games of the year. Not the first, but one of the most recent games of the year where Alabama probably played their worst ball, found a way to win with a lack of time of possession, which has been really impressive. RJ comes in the chat and says it was an O-line problem the whole game. I think you've seen speed rushers hurt Alabama. I think you've seen Proctor. I think you've seen Formby. I think you've seen Carroll. I think you've seen them get beat around the edge. I think think about the edge rushers we've faced the past 5 weeks. And think about Dylan Stewart, who's probably one of the best in the country. I mean, we've faced top, 30, 45 picks at the edge rusher position in the past 5 weeks. So I think Dylan Stewart really, really, really showed why he's going to get paid at the next level in that game Saturday. And I think, Alabama played their worst game and still found a way to win, which is impressive. What are you thinking, Will? What do you think Bama did necessarily wrong? And how do you think they even came out of there with a win?
Yeah, I agree with you on the D-line talks. Stewart, probably, I'd say he's one of, if not the best edge rusher in the country. I like the guy from Oklahoma too. I don't know his name. He wears number 32.
Yeah.
He's a really good one that we got to face in 3 weeks. But I just feel like it kind of looks like they're trying to second guess what they're gonna do. Like the O-line. They're trying to second guess what they're gonna do. But the edge rushers already know what they're gonna do. Like you watch, I think it was third quarter maybe.
Yeah.
They run a stunt. Is it Evan Stewart?
Stewart, no, it's Dylan.
Dylan Stewart, yeah. Dylan Stewart runs a stunt. Kind of acts like he's gonna go towards the left tackle, loops all the way back through to the center, rushes ties pass on a third down, and we go off the third down because it was a great play by the linebacker and the defensive coordinator calling the stunt, and Dylan Stewart getting there super quick.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that's kind of where we fall is when we've played really speed guys on the edge.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the game, gutsy play calls, Ryan Grubb drawing up a masterpiece on the 2-point conversion.
Oh, yeah.
And then on the Bernard touchdown.
Ryan Grubb, there's a reason why he's highly talented. Obviously things didn't work out at the NFL level, but he's been really good. I think RJ says it was an O-line problem the whole game, or are they just slow? I was just, referring to the run around the edge. I think it's it is a kind of a slowness problem. I think it's a lack of using your hands, using that jab, because they teach blocking now. It used to be 2-hand blocking. It's 1-hand blocking now. You're fighting with a hand. You're fighting to get a defender off of his steps. And I think if you go back and watch the film, you see a lot of times where you let Dylan Stewart make 3 moves to be able to get to his spot and be able to make a move on you to get to the quarterback. I think you had a lot of stuff that was just kind of like loop blitzes that they started him off at the end and he came around to the guard position, and you're not going to pick that up against a kid like that who does not have any false steps in this game. He moves just about as good as anybody in the country. Fire Grub and hired Shula.
Yeah,
Um,
I've never seen anything more
yeah, I'm good on
crazy
that one.
than
Thank you,
that.
though, RJ. But I think you see, he figured out a way to be able to get South Carolina figured out a way to be able to get Dylan Stewart in the backfield, not only off the edge, but also just using him to be able to get through a gap blitzes that are looping off the edge, and really did a great job of using him. And the only way to block that is good communication through your tackle, to let your guard bump and release and pick him up. And Alabama failed to do that on some plays, which is why you saw the sacks throughout the game. What do you, Todd Simpson's performance? What would you grade it if you had to grade it? Just going back to school, schoolhouse terms, F to A plus. What are you giving it?
I'd give it a B minus. Like, I think it's above average.
Yeah.
He missed a couple balls he should have hit. And then what confused me is he went to different situations than than stuff that he's been doing since Florida State.
Yeah.
We started looking for the deep ball a lot more. Granted, what's your favorite color type deal?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, we just gotta stick to our game. Like, we can take the shot play here and there, but there was like 4 or 5 times in that game where I'm like, why are we throwing that?
Yeah.
Bernard tried to play the flag one time right before half. Should have gotten a flag later in the game. The one he threw to Rico Scott, double coverage. And then Ryan
you saw
just
some.
underran one.
Yeah, that one with Ryan, he kind of maybe stuck his maybe stuck his arms up a little bit too early. I think Todd Simpson, kind of not one of his best games. He had a lot of misses, like uncharacteristic misses. Like, he had a dig route that he's thrown all year without even thinking about it, that he throws over Jeremy Bernard's head. You've had uncharacteristic drops by the receivers. Well, I wouldn't say uncharacteristic Ryan Williams wise, because he's been doing it all season, it seems, and you're kind of in a slump there, and he'll figure it out eventually, hopefully. But Jeremy Bernard, not like him at all. He dropped one on a slant route, which is not at all like him, like I was saying. And then Ty, he underthrows him on a streak, which a lot of people say it could have been DPI. I think it probably could have been. It was an underthrown ball that probably caused it, but Bama came out with a win. That's where it matters. They found a way to win, which makes them a good football team. And also coming out of a 4-ranked games before South Carolina. I completely agree with that. South Carolina almost got them last year too. I think South Carolina's a good football team. They got a lot of talent. They just haven't put it together completely, and you really thought they were going to this year. I think Lenore Sellers is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I think Nick Harbor is one of the most potential, receivers in the country with his frame and his ability to run. I mean, I don't understand why South Carolina didn't go to him more on the deep balls. They went to that breadbasket one time. They took a roll out of it, but they left the honey cinnamon butter in the basket. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't keep going back to it. They didn't keep,
I mean,
and it's free bread.
The route combos that they ran there to pull Keon Sabb down from over the top and leave it one-on-one with Xavier Brown, who they clearly knew could not keep up with Nick Harbor.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a beautiful play call. I mean, you caught us with our pants down, basically. We're in cover one with safety over the top. He sees post. Or, it was like a skinny, shorter post, and then Nick Harbor runs the deep one right over your head, and you don't even know it. But I think Lenore Sellers is a really, really good quarterback. He gets the ball ripped from him right there at the end. I mean, that's just gonna happen. I was jumping for joy whenever it happened, but he's really tough to bring down. Like, you can't arm tackle the guy. You see him break Deontay Lawson's sack one time. He's breaking arm tackles left and right. He's fighting for yards. Like, he's 6'3", 240, maybe. Probably a little less. But, I mean, he's still the build of somebody you can't arm tackle, like a Daniel Hill type of player. Like, you can't arm tackle.
I think, obviously Deontay Lawson makes the game-saving play right there at the end of the game, and and turns the tide in Alabama's favor. What about the student section coming down to get a good view of the game-winning touchdown? Pretty impressive. Like Perry Thompson. I just want to pop that up in there. Got a little bit of Perry Thompson love in the chat. A little bit of Holy Glaze too. But really interesting week of college football this week. Hopefully, it is just as we'll pop up the game slate one more time. I think this week, obviously, a little bit more underwhelming than what it could have been looking at it from preseason. But I still think you're in store for great games. I still think we'll have a lot of big things happen. Really interested in the Tennessee-Oklahoma game. I think Aguilar is going to play really well in this game, even against a good defense. And you'll start seeing people say, "Oh, how is he not the best quarterback in the SEC?" Even though you have really good guys in that room that have beat you necessarily during the season.
Yeah.
But
I think one game we're kind of looking over, Kansas State. They had bad start. They're playing Texas Tech at Kansas State. It's a 2:30 game. Kansas State looked pretty good last week against Kansas. They really did a lot of good stuff. I'd say Kansas State might give them a little fit. I don't want to say they will. Yeah. They might. I don't think it'll be as big of a blowout as people would probably think, but I think Kansas State will try and keep it close and try and fight with them for a little bit.
No doubt. I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all. I'm really kind of interested in what Rhett Lashley does against Miami as well, too. I think that could be has the potential to be a pretty decent game as well. Kevin Jennings there.
Yeah.
But I really want to watch this Vanderbilt-Texas game because I'm really curious to see if Vanderbilt's going to be able to knock Texas out of the top 25. Obviously Texas has a great defense, but I guess the big thing will be, is Arch Manning going to be back when this game happens? And how's he going to play when he gets back? But, other than that, man, Will, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast or with me today, the first live show. It's good talking to you. Hour long.
Yes, sir.
Was only expecting a good 30 minutes. We ended up turning it into an hour. It's been fun. It's been a good time. Check us out on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Appreciate you spending your time here. Anyways, it's been the R&D podcast. We'll catch you next time.